We are 2 days into the league start, so I want to make a video talking about what I've been farming so far, how much currency I made, and how is my build looking. And surprisingly, this time around, most of my money came from a very unexpected source. So, my plan this league was to farm Bestiary in red maps, because now some of the harvest beasts have been added to the core pool and the Black Morrigan. So I thought it's gonna be pretty interesting new strategy to also find out what beasts are now in the red maps. So, in case you are wondering, so far from what I found is that Black Morrigan is most likely only tier 14 plus, because I found some item level 81 Black Morrigans on trade, so that's what I'm predicting for now. Wild Hellion Alpha, someone told me that someone found it in the red map, so that one is confirmed too. I haven't heard or seen myself any Wild Bristle Matron, Brambleback, or Rex Matriarch in the maps, so I don't know about those. But I did find 2 cyst colors, one Vivid Watcher and one Vivid Vulture, which is the one that most people are interested in, because that one gains a lot in value. And we still don't know about Vivid Aberath and Primal Crashclaw. So far it's actually very good beasts are in the core pool, but unfortunately most of them are pretty cheap, and Black Morrigan is actually bugged. Right now people can't use Black Morrigan's recipe. So from Bestiary, I didn't really make that much currency, even though I still found like 1 tiger, 2 cricky chimerals, a lot of like wolves and lynxes. So I made like decent money, but it wasn't anything crazy. In case of my Atlas tree, this is what I was planning to do. If you watched my video where I talked about my plans for this league, I plan to just go for Bestiary and then as a secondary thing to go for Essences and Heist. But it turned out that my build wasn't as good as I thought it's gonna be. I didn't have crazy amount of damage. This is why well, here is first of all my tree that I started with just to progress Atlas to reach the red maps. So I was just going for the essences and map drops. And then when I reached the red maps and tier 16s and I had like 10 plus tier 16s, I started farming beasts. And I decided to not go for the essences because it was pretty much too hard to kill beasts and essence as one monster. Instead, I decided to go for shrines and for Nico buffs so that I can have much easier times in the red maps. And also I found that Dance of Destruction was actually pretty helpful. I actually started dying less once I took it, because basically I was killing monsters faster, so they weren't able to kill me. And after I farmed good amount of currency, and I'm gonna talk about what made me most of my currency here in a little bit, I just finally swapped to Beast Essence, and the moment I swapped it is pretty much when I reached this point of my gear. And now I have no issue killing Essences and Beast, so that's my tree right now. And I also had enough points to keep the shrine nodes, so I have a little bit easier time. And yeah, I am not using Nico anymore. So what made me most of my currency? And in case you are wondering how much I made, this is of course not all of my currency. I have a lot of in my gear and also invested into some other stuff. I probably estimate I made somewhere between 30 to 50 divines. There's of course still a lot of things in essences and a lot of other things. I do have a healthy amount of tier 16s. So I'm not really too sure how much I made, but pretty good amount of money. And I would say on day one, 90% of that currency. On day one, I think I made somewhere between 10 to 20 divines, and then the rest I made on the second day. On day one, 90% came from one source, and then on the second day, probably like 50% came from one source. And that actually was this one contract. In case you are wondering how you can get these contracts, you have to click on Smuggler Caches. So what I was doing is I was adding 2 Smuggler Caches into my maps with this map device mode, 5 chaos per map, and the Smuggler Caches have chance to drop the quests, the green contracts. And once you do them, then you start having a chance to drop unique contracts from these Smuggler Caches. So if you are skipping these quest contracts, which most of the people do, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. You actually should be doing these quests because these contracts are actually very expensive. And normally Twins is one of the most expensive contracts. It's not the most expensive, but this time around it was only like 10, 20. I think I sold maybe like 1 or 2 for 50 chaos. They went down in price a lot, but this one still stayed in price. And you might be wondering, why is this contract so expensive? Well, and that's because this one has a boss at the end, which is actually decently hard, but you have infinite amount of portals, so you can just try again, 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 and eventually you will kill it. And this contract always drops the fledgling, which is exactly why I found out about how good it is, because I wanted to buy fledgling myself, and then I checked where it drops, and I knew that it drops from highs, but I didn't know that it actually drops from this unique. So as of right now, this contract costs 95 chaos. It actually was like 60, so it went up a little bit. And fledgling is still 100 to 120 chaos, and if you find one with good rolls like this one, it's 2.5, maybe 3 divines. So it's very expensive. And for the day one, they were going for 2 divines. And I found one time, I found 2 or 3 in one map. Then I found at some point 3 in a row, back to back. One in one map, second one in the second map, third in third map. And then at some point I found 2 in one maps again. Sometimes I would say on average I was finding maybe 1 in 5 maps or something like that. So if you look at the map device, that's 5 chaos per map times 5, that's 25C. So just from this you make a ton of money. And on top of that, of course, you pick up contracts, blueprints, and rogue markers. And in fact, I actually am so lazy, I still have not sold any of my blueprints, any of my contracts. I still have almost 200k rogue markers. So that should tell you how profitable Heist is right now. It's actually, rogue markers, blueprints, and contracts are actually kind of cheap this league. I am surprised. Last league I was farming Heist myself, and everything was expensive, and I was kind of annoyed at being and at having to buy stuff for so much. But this time around, when I finally decided to not farm it, now everything is so cheap. So that's kind of annoying, but at the same time, I'm still making good money just from the fledglings. And if you're wondering how many I sold, probably somewhere around 20. I'm not too sure at this point. So yeah, a lot of money came from just this one contract, and you can still make good money. Probably within the next day or two, more people are gonna do it, probably even more because of this video, but it was very surprising, good money maker. And when it comes to my gear, so once I actually sold few of the fledglings, I was able to buy Harry's Ire, and I 16 it myself. I actually spent only like 350 fusings, so that was decently lucky. And I'm using Elemental Hit of Spectrum, Mirage Archer, Trinity, Returning Projectile. I just bought Awakened at Elemental Damage with attacks, just so I can start leveling it up. And Inspiration. For my rings, Taming and Death Rush, I bought this one with a good roll for, I think, 1 Divine. I actually, funny story about this quiver, I was running through the yellow and red maps. I think it was item level 79. So I think that's somewhere around tier 10, if I'm correct. I was running through the maps. I wasn't picking up or looking at any items on the ground. I never really care about rare items. But for some reason, I saw this one Browhead Arrow Quiver, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up and identify it. And it was this. Tier 2 life, tier 1 crit multi, additional arrow, and some resistances. Resistances are okay, I would prefer attack speed, and I can also craft them 10 damage for attacks. This is actually a crazy bow. If you look at the mods, crit multi, 1 arrow, life, without even attack speed, it's 2 divine. With attack speed, it's 3.5 divine. So that's actually a crazy find. And I can also craft another mod. So yeah, pretty good quiver. Then most of the other stuff I actually did buy. So boots I did buy. Base doesn't really matter. Some people have been asking me why I'm using this base. I just wanted high amount of life, resist, movement speed, that's it. Belt, same thing, resist, movement speed, strength. And same for gloves, int, life, resists. I actually I have 6 suffixes. Okay, I cannot craft anything here. Fledgling. Fledgling is good because it gives you far shot, which actually is different from this far shot. This far shot is just the ascendancy point, and this far shot is actual effect far shot, which gives you up to 60% more damage, and this one gives 30. So these are actually stuck on top of each other. And then for the bow, this is a kinda annoying story. I was crafting this bow myself. I decided to try user combinators, and I wasn't sure if they got nerfed or not, so I was using the old methods, which probably don't work as well anymore. So I was crafting some bows with essences, then tried to combine them, and nothing really was happening. I was just losing and losing money. I think I ended up losing somewhere around 200, 300 chaos trying to combine them, and I didn't get anything. And eventually I got bow with essence mod and tier 1 cold damage, and the other one had essence mod and tier 4 lightning damage. And on the suffix it had +2 additional arrow. And I combined them and I was hoping for 3 elemental damage mod to stay and +2 arrows, and unfortunately +2 arrow got deleted. If it stayed on top of these prefixes, it would be an insane bow, but unfortunately it didn't. So then I tried to finish my suffixes and I did use prefixes cannot be changed and veiled orb to try to get attack speed or crit or something useful, and all 3 options were useless. So I had to spend 2 divines on prefixes cannot be changed, then 80 chaos for veiled orb, then I had to scour suffixes, so two divines again for the prefixes cannot be changed, and then multimod another 2 divines. So that unveil did cost me overall 6 divines, but it was a little bit unlucky, but I ended up with a very good weapon. I also used Runecraft, which gave me 4% increase attack speed enchant. It is not the best roll, it can go up to 6%, but it's still pretty good. So overall this weapon is 1.8k elemental DPS with additional 7.9% crit chance, and it also gives me some strength in it. I actually probably can maybe now drop some strength and int on the tree, because I got it. Yeah, I can drop this int point. I'm gonna figure out what to do in a little bit. But yeah, that's basically my build. I'm not using any jewels. I'm using just crit, evasion, silver, and quicksilver flask. I probably should improve these flasks. And especially since now I got Pantheon for freeze immunity and burning ground immunity, because I'm doing red altar, so burning ground is annoying. So I should probably swap this freeze immunity to something else. Unfortunately, attack speed has been removed from flasks. We didn't have that in the patch note, so that's unlucky. For my other sockets, just Frenzy, Mana Forge, Rain of Arrow, Life Tap. It's pretty standard setup. I decided to swap to Rain of Arrow because, instead of Blast Rain, because I'm farming Ashen Woods, and in Ashen Woods, boss is using Blast Rain, so it was confusing me when I would find the boss, or I would just see Blast Rain and I would think that there's a boss next to me, so I removed Rain of Arrow. Removed Blast Rain and put Rain of Arrow. Blink Arrow, Flame Dash, Mark on Hit, Sniper Mark, Cast on the Portal, because I'm still dying decent amount, even though I still reach level 93, so it's not that bad. Another Mana Forge Arrow setup with Power Charge on Crit and Storm Rain with Life Tap, and here are my auras, Anger, Tornado. Actually, I'm not really using Tornado, I could probably drop it. Grace, and I'm starting to level up Enlighten. When I reach level 3, maybe level 4, I'm probably gonna try to fit some another aura, and anoint probably the Sovereignty. And I don't know yet what to go or I am gonna go for. But yeah, that's basically how I was making my money so far. If Legend is gonna go down in price, I'm still probably gonna continue doing what I'm doing. Beasts not necessarily make me crazy money, but beasts are actually going up in price, so it's becoming a bit better. But also the embers are making pretty good amount of money just from the altars and all of the currency that you drop from altars. The rogue markers, contract and blueprints are still good amount of currency. So who knows for how long I'm gonna be farming this strategy, but so far it is pretty good, but I was expecting it to be pretty good because of the beasts, but it turned out to be pretty good because of the heist. So I could technically just run through the boss, because the smuggler catches and leave, but I still want to kill monsters because I want to farm gold for the link mechanic, which to be honest I've been just upgrading the buildings. I haven't really made that much currency from it, and I also want to kill monsters for the map drops. So I'm still doing it, and it is more fun, of course. Just running, picking up some smuggler catches might be boring, so of course killing monsters is a bit more fun. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.